Everything begins in the mind. Before there is action, there is intention, and before intention, there is thought, quiet, repetitive, persistent thought. The question is, what thoughts are you allowing to live in your subconscious mind? Many people walk through life unaware that they are carrying a heavy burden, not on their backs but in their minds. These are thoughts they never consciously chose, but absorbed over time, beliefs inherited from others, fears cultivated by repetition, doubts that have taken root and grown like weeds in the garden of the subconscious. If you wish to change your life, it is not enough to change your habits or your environment. You must go deeper. You must saturate your subconscious mind with clarity, strength, and purpose, because the mind that is trained becomes your most powerful ally. The untrained mind, however, becomes your greatest enemy. So today, I invite you to take a journey, not outward but inward, a journey into the mind, a journey toward mastery of the self. Because only when you begin to take responsibility for the energy you feed your subconscious, can you begin to shape your reality with intention and power. Most people underestimate the incredible power that lies dormant within the subconscious mind. It is not simply a storage house of memories or past experiences. It is the silent architect shaping every decision, every reaction, and every perception we carry. The subconscious mind governs over 90% of our daily behavior, and yet it operates beneath the surface, like the unseen roots of a vast and ancient tree. The problem is not that people lack strength, intelligence, or opportunity. The real issue is that most people are unaware of what they have allowed to take root in their subconscious. The thoughts that are repeated daily, the emotions that are not processed but instead buried, and the beliefs that were adopted without question all come together to create a program. And that program runs continuously, guiding one's life in directions they might not even want to go. Until a person becomes aware of what is fueling their mind in silence, they will remain trapped by invisible limitations. Saturating the subconscious mind is not about forcing positivity or pretending to be happy all the time. It is about conscious programming. Just as a warrior trains the body every day for strength and precision, the mind too must be trained with discipline and clarity. Imagine you are walking through a field of fertile soil. You have a choice. Either you plant seeds of courage, focus, and inner peace, or you let the wind carry in seeds of doubt, fear, and distraction. But the soil does not care. It will grow whatever is planted, intentionally or carelessly. This is the nature of the subconscious mind. It does not judge. It only receives, accepts, and reproduces. Repeated thoughts, especially those that are emotionalized, become the language of the subconscious. And over time, that language shapes your identity, your habits, and ultimately your life's direction. The modern world is full of noise, external voices telling you what is valuable, who you should be, and how you should live. If you are not vigilant, those voices become internal. They slip past the conscious guard and begin to shape your inner landscape. That is why so many people feel disconnected from themselves. They are living according to beliefs that are not their own. They are chasing goals that do not align with their true nature. But when you become aware that you have the power to choose what gets planted in your subconscious, a shift begins. It is the difference between being led by impulse and being guided by wisdom, between reacting and responding, between existing and living with purpose. One of the most powerful tools for saturating the subconscious mind is repetition. Repetition is how beliefs are installed, but it must be repetition with emotion, repetition with presence. Merely saying words without conviction is not enough. The subconscious does not respond to empty statements. It responds to energy, to intensity, to felt meaning. So if you speak a phrase like "I am strong," but you do not feel the strength within you, the subconscious will not accept it. But if you speak it from a place of certainty, from a place of alignment with your values, and you repeat it again and again, eventually the subconscious will take it as truth. And once something is accepted as truth, the mind begins to find ways to make it real. Visualization is another powerful method. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you visualize with clarity, when you see yourself acting with discipline, achieving your goals, staying calm under pressure, the subconscious begins to adjust your behavior to match that vision. Over time, this rewires the internal pathways of thought and emotion. Your default reactions begin to shift. You no longer have to force confidence. It emerges naturally. You no longer battle anxiety in every moment. Peace becomes your baseline. Silence and stillness also play a role. Most people are afraid of silence because in silence, they are forced to face their internal programming. But it is in stillness that true saturation occurs. When you sit in silence and observe the thoughts that arise, you begin to see which ones are based on fear, which ones are inherited from others, and which ones are aligned with your truth. This awareness is the first step toward transformation. Once you see the patterns, you can replace them. You can choose a new narrative, but the choice must be made every day because the subconscious mind, though powerful, requires consistency. It is not changed by one moment of inspiration. It is changed by persistent attention, by the daily act of planting thoughts that nourish your purpose. The environment you surround yourself with plays a crucial role in shaping the contents of your subconscious mind. Every word you hear, every image you see, every experience you go through, these are the ingredients feeding your inner world. The subconscious absorbs without filtering, unlike the conscious mind, which can reject, question, or analyze. The subconscious accepts and stores. It is like an open gate, always receiving, always recording. If your surroundings are full of negativity, drama, fear, or limitation, over time, these patterns become part of your internal programming. You may think you are unaffected, but slowly, the repetition of certain ideas begins to settle in the deeper layers of your mind, and once they are settled, they begin to influence your perception of reality, often without your awareness. People often underestimate how powerful their environment truly is. A single conversation with someone who constantly doubts your potential can plant a seed of self-doubt in your mind. Watching content that repeatedly shows failure, scarcity, or fear can create an unconscious narrative that life is hopeless or dangerous. On the other hand, surrounding yourself with voices, visuals, and energy that speak of growth, discipline, possibility, and strength begins to rewire your internal framework. You start to see challenges not as threats, but as training grounds. You begin to expect success rather than fear failure. The more often you are exposed to empowering messages, the more your subconscious adapts to that reality as normal. It is not just people or media that influence your environment. It is also your habits, your routines, the structure of your daily life. If your space is cluttered and chaotic, your mind begins to mirror that disorder. If your schedule is filled with distractions, your thoughts become scattered. If your time is constantly consumed by meaningless consumption, your mental energy is drained before it can be focused on anything meaningful. The subconscious thrives on patterns. The more consistent the pattern, the more deeply it is embedded. So, every day you wake up and feed your mind with anxiety. Your subconscious interprets anxiety as your baseline. Every time you postpone action, you are teaching your inner world that procrastination is acceptable. But every time you make a disciplined choice, wake up early, meditate, train your body, practice gratitude, you are feeding your subconscious with clarity, strength, and order. One of the most effective ways to saturate the subconscious is to build a lifestyle that reflects the values you wish to internalize. If you want to embody discipline, then create a routine that requires commitment and follow through. If you want to live with peace, then minimize unnecessary noise from your life both literal and emotional. The subconscious responds to what it repeatedly experiences. It cannot be fooled by empty declarations. You must show it, not just tell it. Through repeated action, consistent environment, and aligned choices, you show the subconscious what is true for you. Over time, the old programming, based on fear, insecurity, or confusion, begins to fade, replaced by new pathways of power, peace, and purpose. Even the words you use regularly become part of your mental programming. If you constantly say, "I can't," "I don't have time," "it's too hard," those words imprint a sense of limitation. But if your vocabulary is filled with phrases like "I am capable," "I will find a way," "this is my training," your mind begins to construct a new inner identity. This is why self-talk is not a casual practice. It is one of the most powerful subconscious tools. When you speak to yourself with intention, you are not just making noise. You are setting the tone for your internal world. And the more often you repeat empowering language, especially with emotion and belief, the more it becomes your default. The people you spend the most time with are also shaping your subconscious. Their energy, beliefs, attitudes, and habits begin to influence you at a deep level. This is not about judgment, but about awareness. If you constantly surround yourself with people who complain, make excuses, or stay stuck in patterns of blame, those behaviors begin to feel normal. But if you spend time with people who strive for growth, who challenge you, who live with integrity and discipline, your subconscious picks up on that energy and begins to mirror it. This is why the path of personal transformation often requires difficult choices. Not everyone will understand your commitment to growth, but your environment must reflect your inner standards, not your past patterns. Ultimately, saturating the subconscious mind is a lifestyle, not a moment. It is built through repeated exposure to what aligns with your highest self. It is maintained by the discipline to protect your inner world from noise, distraction, and limitation. It is fueled by the environments you create, the voices you allow in, and the energy you choose to embody. When your outer world begins to reflect your inner values, your subconscious receives the message that this is your truth, and from that truth, your life begins to take a new shape. The quality of your thoughts directly influences the frequency of your energy, and the energy you emit is what you attract into your life. This is not mystical thinking. It is a reflection of how the subconscious mind interacts with the world around you. Every thought carries a vibration, and the more a particular thought is repeated, the more it becomes embedded in the fabric of your subconscious. Over time, this internal frequency begins to create an external pattern. People, situations, and opportunities that match your inner state begin to appear, not because they are magically summoned, but because your mind is now conditioned to see and respond to them. This is why two people can be placed in the same environment, but experience it in completely different ways. One sees opportunity, while the other sees failure. One feels gratitude, while the other feels resentment. The difference is not the world. It is the subconscious filter they are using to interpret it. The subconscious mind is like a mirror. It reflects what it receives consistently. If you continuously feed it with thoughts of lack, fear, and limitation, your experience of life will begin to reflect those conditions. You will notice more obstacles than possibilities, more problems than solutions. On the other hand, when you saturate your subconscious with thoughts of abundance, strength, clarity, and purpose, your perception of the world changes. You begin to notice different opportunities, attract different people, and respond with a different kind of energy. But this does not happen by chance. It happens through deliberate conditioning of the mind, through conscious repetition of empowering thoughts and images. One of the most effective ways to influence the subconscious is through affirmations combined with visualization. When you speak an affirmation like "I am calm and focused," and simultaneously visualize yourself acting with calm and clarity in a challenging situation, you engage both the verbal and visual aspects of the subconscious. The mind starts to accept this image as a reference point, and when a similar real-life situation arises, you are more likely to respond in alignment with that image. But the key is consistency. The subconscious mind is not changed by one powerful thought. It is changed by hundreds, thousands of thoughts repeated with emotion and belief. The emotional component is essential. Thoughts that carry emotion are the ones that sink deepest into the subconscious. If you repeat an affirmation without any feeling, it remains on the surface. But when a thought is fused with emotion, whether it's excitement, determination, or peace, it leaves a strong impression. That impression becomes a blueprint for future behavior and perception. This is why traumatic experiences leave deep subconscious imprints. They are intense and emotionally charged, but it also means that positive experiences, if repeated with intensity, can replace old negative programming. You can overwrite fear with courage, insecurity with confidence, and confusion with clarity, but it requires focused emotional repetition. Meditation is another powerful method for aligning thought and energy. In a meditative state, the conscious mind becomes quiet, and the subconscious becomes more open and receptive. This is the ideal time to plant new thoughts, to visualize your goals, and to affirm your values. When the mind is calm and the body is relaxed, the resistance to new ideas is lowered. In this state, the subconscious can receive new information more effectively. Practicing daily meditation combined with intention setting creates a mental environment where transformation becomes natural and sustainable. Your identity is also shaped by the subconscious. If you see yourself as someone who is always struggling, always behind, always unlucky, that self-image will guide your actions and decisions. But if you create a new identity based on your desired qualities, disciplined, resilient, focused, capable, and reinforce it daily, your subconscious will begin to accept this new identity. You will start to act in ways that align with it, often without conscious effort. The mind will search for evidence to support the identity it has accepted, and that evidence will reinforce the belief. It becomes a cycle. Thoughts create beliefs, beliefs shape actions, actions produce results, and results confirm the original thoughts. Saturating the subconscious mind requires patience. It is not about rushing change, but about creating deep, lasting transformation. It is about becoming aware of your inner dialogue and intentionally shifting it toward thoughts that empower you. The process begins with mindfulness, becoming aware of the thoughts that arise throughout the day. Many of them are automatic, habitual, and often rooted in past conditioning. When you catch a limiting thought, you do not fight it or suppress it. You acknowledge it, question it, and replace it with a more empowering one. With enough repetition, the empowering thought becomes the default. This is the essence of subconscious reprogramming. You do not force the mind, you train it. You do not suppress thoughts, you replace them. Through this process, your entire energy shifts, and with it, your life begins to change from the inside out. Self-awareness is the foundation upon which all inner transformation is built, and without it, any attempt to saturate the subconscious mind becomes unfocused and ineffective. Before you can begin to reprogram the subconscious, you must first understand what is already there. Many people walk through life unaware of the thoughts, beliefs, and emotional patterns that shape their behavior. They react without understanding why, feel stuck without seeing the cause, and repeat cycles that seem beyond their control. This is not because they lack intelligence or willpower, but because their subconscious programming remains hidden from their conscious mind. Self-awareness is the light that reveals the content of that programming, and with that awareness comes the power to change. Developing self-awareness begins with observation. It means stepping back from the constant stream of thoughts and beginning to witness them as they arise. Rather than identifying with every idea or emotion, you start to notice the patterns. You notice which thoughts occur most often, which emotions are triggered in certain situations, and which beliefs repeatedly influence your decisions. This act of witnessing creates a separation between you and your programming. It allows you to see that you are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes them. From that position of awareness, you can begin to choose which thoughts to reinforce and which ones to release. Journaling is a powerful tool for building self-awareness. When you write down your thoughts and emotions without censorship, you start to uncover the deeper beliefs that influence your life. You begin to see the recurring stories you tell yourself, stories about who you are, what you deserve, what is possible for you. Some of these stories were formed in childhood, shaped by the words and actions of others. Others were formed through repeated experiences that were never fully understood or healed. The act of writing brings these stories to the surface, where they can be examined and, if necessary, rewritten. Another vital aspect of self-awareness is emotional honesty. Many people are not fully honest about what they feel. They suppress emotions that are uncomfortable or socially unacceptable. But suppressed emotions do not disappear. They are stored in the subconscious and influence behavior from the shadows. Anger, fear, guilt, shame. When these emotions are not acknowledged, they distort perception and decision-making. By learning to sit with these emotions, to feel them fully without judgment, you allow them to pass through you rather than remain trapped within you. This process of emotional processing clears space in the subconscious and makes it more receptive to new, empowering programming. Self-awareness also requires questioning your beliefs. Every belief you hold today was learned. It was adopted at some point, either through repetition, emotional experience, or authority. But just because a belief was accepted does not mean it is true or useful. Beliefs about your worth, your potential, your limitations, these must be examined regularly. When you find a belief that limits you, ask where it came from, who taught it to you, what experience reinforced it. And most importantly, is it still serving you? If the answer is no, you have the ability to replace it. But that replacement begins with the awareness that the belief exists in the first place. Mindfulness practices help cultivate this level of awareness. When you bring your attention to the present moment, whether through breath, body awareness, or focused attention, you create a gap between stimulus and response. In that gap, you gain the power to choose. Instead of reacting from old programming, you respond from clarity. Over time, this practice of presence trains the subconscious to operate from a more grounded and intentional place. It also helps you become more aware of your inner dialogue throughout the day. Most subconscious programming is reinforced not by major events, but by small, repeated thoughts. Mindfulness brings those thoughts into awareness so they can be interrupted and redirected. Your triggers are some of the most valuable teachers on the path of self-awareness. A trigger is any situation or interaction that causes a strong emotional reaction: anger, fear, insecurity, defensiveness. Rather than viewing triggers as something to avoid or suppress, you can approach them with curiosity. What belief is being challenged in this moment? What wound is being touched? What fear is being activated? When you investigate your triggers, you uncover the parts of your subconscious that still carry pain or confusion. And with that awareness, you can begin the work of healing and integration. True self-awareness is not about judgment or blame. It is about curiosity, honesty, and the willingness to look within without flinching. It is the daily practice of observing your thoughts, questioning your beliefs, feeling your emotions, and aligning your actions with your values. It is through this practice that the subconscious mind becomes transparent, and once it is transparent, it can be trained. You begin to notice the gap between who you are and who you wish to be, and you take responsibility for closing that gap with intention. When you understand the immense power of your subconscious mind, you realize that transformation is not a matter of luck, nor is it found in external circumstances. It is a deliberate and disciplined journey inward. By consciously saturating your subconscious with empowering thoughts, by shaping your environment to reflect your values, by aligning your energy through intention and repetition, And by cultivating deep self-awareness, you take full responsibility for your inner world. And when your inner world changes, your outer reality begins to shift as well. Lasting peace, clarity, purpose, and strength are not given to you. They are built from within, one thought, one choice, one conscious moment at a time.